If you don't follow these 3 simple rules, your time and efforts in the gym will go wasted. As a fighter, resistance training should supplement your combat sports training, not take away from it. Here's how to get the best results with the least amount of time and effort. When it comes to muscle hypertrophy, the math is simple. Greater weekly training volume equals greater gains. However, more volume also means significantly more time spent on training and recovery. In most cases, this is not ideal for fighters. In contrast to hypertrophy training, higher volume of strength training will not result in greater strength gains. It can even be counterproductive if recovery and neuromuscular function are compromised. Here are a few simple rules of thumb backed by science. Perform at least 4 sets per muscle group per week to maintain or slightly gain muscle mass. At least 10 weekly sets are needed to maximize muscle gains, for example, if you're moving up a weight class. For meaningful strength gains, a meta-analysis from 2017 suggests at least 5 heavy weekly sets per major lift. Other research indicates 3 to 6 heavy sets per week. As a fighter, it makes sense to stick to the 3 to 5 rep range to reduce injury risk and neuromuscular fatigue. More weekly strength training volume will also increase the hypertrophy stimulus. If you're already on the heavier end of your weight class and you don't want to add extra muscle, it makes sense to stick to a lower volume. However, your calorie balance obviously plays a major role when it comes to weight and muscle gain. Your weekly volume can be spread out across up to 3 sessions. Splitting it up across multiple workouts mitigates muscle soreness and CNS fatigue, reducing the impact on your technical training. Figure out what works best for you and your training schedule. For a detailed breakdown of the programming basics for hypertrophy, strength, and power, watch the video that's linked at the end of this video. Volume is crucial for strength and muscle gains, but your sets are wasted if they are not performed at the right intensity. You can measure the intensity of your sets by estimating your reps in reserve. How many more reps could you have done when you finished the set? Studies indicate that you don't need to take your sets all the way to muscular failure to optimize for muscle hypertrophy. You can achieve similar gains if you stay a few reps shy of failure. For bodybuilding, 1 to 2 reps in reserve are a common guideline. However, training closer to failure also causes greater neuromuscular fatigue. Again, as a fighter, you want the best of both worlds, S&C and combat sports training, so I suggest you stay 1 to 4 reps away from failure. Higher reps in reserve will mitigate muscle soreness and nervous system fatigue, reducing the impact on your technical training. For example, you could stay 4 reps away from failure as you start out, then get closer to failure as you get stronger and more experienced over time. This allows you to observe how your body responds to your resistance training and how it affects your combat sports training. However, individuals tend to underestimate their reps in reserve, especially during the early sets, for higher reps in reserve, or if they are new to lifting. As you get a little more advanced, it might make sense to take some of your sets to failure. This could help you gauge your reps in reserve, but should be limited to simple exercises with a low injury risk. For strength and power development, you should steer clear of muscular failure. Finish your sets before your movement velocity drops by more than 25%. This avoids acute nervous system fatigue and likely leads to better neuromuscular adaptations. As you lift slow down, the focus shifts from power and strength to muscle hypertrophy. If you can't measure or gauge movement velocity, simply aim for 1 to 4 reps in reserve. Again, getting closer to failure is better for muscle hypertrophy, but worse for strength and power development. If you train close to failure, especially during heavy compound lifts, you also increase your injury risk and neuromuscular fatigue. Since you're a fighter, not a competitive power lifter, it makes sense to keep 3 to 4 reps in reserve with heavy compound lifts. This will reduce the risk of injury as well as the impact on your technical training. There are some charlatans out there who promote limited range of motion training as the magic pill for athletes. They even go as far as claiming that squatting or bench pressing below 90 degrees in the knees, hips, or elbows is harmful for athletes. While this gets views and clicks on social media, it's a terrible idea for muscle hypertrophy and athletic performance. So-called lengthened partials include the bottom half of a squat, bench press, or pull-up. The muscle moves from a full stretch into partial contraction. There is some evidence that training at long muscle lengths is optimal for hypertrophy, but the benefits are small. However, if the range of motion is limited to a shorter muscle length, for example during the top half of a squat or bench press, this leads to worse muscle gains. This also goes for isometric training. Isometrics at longer muscle lengths lead to greater hypertrophy than at shorter muscle lengths. You're not a competitive bodybuilder though, you're a fighter. When it comes to fight performance, it's wise to build strength and power through the full range of motion. Research shows that in order to achieve strength through the full range of motion, you have to train through the full range of motion. This is crucial for combat athletes whose joints are regularly forced through extreme ranges, for example in wrestling or submission grappling. Fighters have to be able to maintain joint stability and generate force from those end ranges. However, it can make sense to mix in some exercises with a limited range of motion, for example, hang power cleans or rack pulls. This can help maximize strength and power in that specific range of motion. Training your muscles through a greater range will also improve the range of motion of your joints, similar to regular stretching. There's a lot more to training than just volume, intensity, and range of motion. If you want the thinking taken out of your S&C, check out my 8-week dumbbell or bodyweight program. Your purchase also includes my comprehensive nutrition and recovery guide. The links are in the video description and comments. Watch this video next for the ultimate hypertrophy, strength, and power program guide for fighters. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. As always, train hard, recover smart, and fight easy.